A silence descended upon the command room, thick enough to cut with a knife. General Corvo of the Zin Consortium stood rigidly, his gaze fixed on the swirling holographic display. For centuries, the stars had danced to the rhythm of interstellar war, but now the stage had shifted in ways no one had anticipated. Each race in the intergalactic coalition had poured every ounce of their might into the battle against the Kidari, the once unstoppable force that had spread its tendrils across the galaxy. Yet, lurking in the shadows, humanity had merely observed. The question hung in the air like a weight. What had they been waiting for? "You're telling me humans have just been watching this entire time?" Corvo's voice broke the silence, laced with disbelief. The other commanders shifted uneasily, their faces betraying a mix of skepticism and curiosity. "Yes, General," Admiral Merrick of the Warchak Union replied, his scaled features as unreadable as a frozen lake. "Humanity has officially declared its intent to engage in combat operations, just 10 minutes ago." Corvo rubbed his temples, grappling with the enormity of the situation. He had dismissed the tales of human prowess as mere legends, exaggerated whispers born from the bravado of Deathworlders. But now, faced with the reality of an impending storm, anxiety coiled tightly in his gut. Why now? What strategy lay hidden beneath their silence? "Show me their initial movements," he commanded, his tone sharper than intended. As the holographic map zoomed in on the war-torn sectors of space, a sense of foreboding settled over the room. The Kidari fleet had woven an intricate web of defenses, daring any to challenge their might. Yet, humanity's vessels flickered into existence, small and seemingly insignificant against the backdrop of the vast armadas of their enemies. "Is that it?" murmured one of the commanders, skepticism dripping from his voice. Corvo's eyes narrowed as he observed the human ships forming a tight formation. There was no grand display, no bluster, just a command ship, a handful of destroyers, and escort frigates. To the untrained eye, it seemed absurdly minimal, but as the Kidari forces adjusted, ready to dismiss the newcomers, the reality of the situation began to unravel. The human ships moved with an elegance that defied conventional tactics. They danced through the chaos with an unsettling grace, launching volleys of high-velocity projectiles that disrupted Kidari systems with surgical precision. This isn't brute force," Admiral Merrick breathed, his usual composure cracking. "It's a tactical ballet." As the holographic display flickered with the relentless exchange of fire, a new realization washed over the commanders. The humans were not merely engaged in a battle, they were executing a masterclass in warfare, each movement calculated, each shot fired with intent. Their smaller vessels wove through the Kidari formations like nimble predators, exploiting weaknesses, drawing fire away from their comrades, and unleashing havoc in ways that felt almost choreographed. "Look," another commander pointed, his voice rising above the din. "They're targeting the Kidari command ship. If they can take it down, the whole fleet will collapse." The room fell silent again as the tension thickened. The Kidari command ship, a massive structure bristling with weaponry, had become the focal point of the conflict. A single human destroyer, its hull scarred but still defiant, surged forward, weaving through enemy fire. In an audacious display of bravery, it unleashed a volley of missiles, arcing through the void like shooting stars. "It's a suicide run!" Corvo shouted, a mix of admiration and horror twisting his gut. The other commanders leaned forward, their breaths held as the missiles struck true, detonating against the Kidari's shields with blinding brilliance. The screen flared, showing the Kidari command ship faltering, its shields flickering. In a heartbeat, the human destroyer was torn apart by the enemy's return fire, but the damage was done. Kidari defenses were compromised, the air thick with a palpable shift in the tide of battle. "We need to send reinforcements," one of the commanders exclaimed, already reaching for the communication array, but Corvo's hand shot out, stopping him. "No! Let them fight! Let them show us what they can do!" The tension in the command room morphed into a mix of dread and exhilaration as they watched the unfolding spectacle. The humans were not only fighters, but strategists, adapting on the fly, learning from their mistakes and their enemies' responses. It was as if they had been waiting for this very moment, honing their skills in the shadows, preparing for a reckoning that none of them had foreseen. Suddenly, a new ship emerged on the fringes of the battlefield, a sleek vessel, unmistakably human, but larger than anything seen before. the USS Valor, the pride of the Terran fleet, designed for long-range combat, with technology that blurred the line between man and machine. "That's their flagship!" Merrick exclaimed, eyes wide. "What do they think they can accomplish against an entire Kidari fleet?" But Corvo's lips curled into a smile, a strange sense of camaraderie blooming within him. "They have a plan. Watch the USS." Valor surged forward, its hull glinting under the distant stars, leaving trails of light as it engaged its warp engines. Without hesitation, it released a barrage of energy pulses, each one carving through the Kidari ranks with a terrifying efficiency. The energy beams sliced through ships like a hot knife through butter, leaving only silence in their wake. "They're engaging the Kidari flanks," one of the officers shouted, awe mixed with disbelief coloring his voice. "It's brilliant." In a matter of moments, the battlefield transformed into a chaotic canvas, with human ships weaving intricate patterns as they coordinated their assault. What began as a desperate measure had morphed into an impressive display of tactical prowess, with every commander in the room entranced by the unfolding drama. "If they win this battle, they'll change the course of the war," Corvo murmured, his mind racing with the implications. Humanity, once relegated to the sidelines, was now taking center stage. Suddenly, the Kidari fleet began to falter, their coordinated attack unraveling under the pressure of the humans' unexpected strategies. The once mighty force was crumbling, and as Corvo watched, something deep within him ignited, a spark of hope mingled with the thrill of an unknown alliance. The Kidari, once a relentless force, were now scrambling to adapt, their formations breaking apart under the onslaught. Panic rippled through their ranks, evident in the frantic movements of their ships as they attempted to regroup. "Look at that!" an officer shouted, pointing to the main screen. "They're falling back. They're not just retreating, they're abandoning their formation." Corvo felt a surge of exhilaration. "They're losing their grip. The humans are forcing them to react. This is unprecedented." The USS Valor pressed forward, its weapons firing in a steady rhythm, creating a deadly symphony that echoed through the void. As it tore through the Kidari ranks, Corvo caught glimpses of the human pilots, faces determined, eyes alight with the fire of vengeance and hope. A new wave of human fighters joined the fray, their sleek design zipping past the USS Valor, trailing fire and fury. They communicated seamlessly, a testament to the years of training and preparation they had undergone. The bond they shared, forged in the crucible of war, was palpable, creating a synergy that seemed to defy the very laws of physics. This is not just a battle for survival, it's a declaration, Corvo thought, the weight of his realization settling upon him. A declaration that humanity will no longer be underestimated. As the Kidari attempted to rally their forces, a desperate command echoed through their fleet, but it was too late. The humans were relentless, capitalizing on every opening, every moment of weakness. The battlefield was alive with energy, and the tide had irrevocably shifted. "They're routing them!" Merrick shouted, disbelief and exhilaration in his voice. The commanders exchanged glances, the initial skepticism replaced by awe. Suddenly the display flickered again, and the image of the Kidari command ship came into view. It was battered and bruised, its once imposing silhouette reduced to a struggling hulk. "Now's our chance," another officer cried. "If we can cut off their escape routes—" But Corvo held up a hand, a thought crystallizing in his mind. "Number. Let the humans finish this. We must watch how they do it." The USS Valor closed in on the Kidari command ship, and Corvo felt his heart race as the commander of the human vessel unleashed a final, devastating assault. The screen blazed with light as explosions rippled across the command ship's surface. "It's over!" Corvo breathed, the enormity of the moment sinking in. The Kidari fleet was in disarray, and the humans were poised to claim victory. As the last remnants of the Kidari forces scattered into the void, the commanders erupted into cheers. The atmosphere shifted, a new understanding forming among them. "We've underestimated them," Merrick said, his voice a mix of respect and awe. "They've shown us what true resilience looks like." Corvo nodded, his mind racing. The humans were not just surviving, they were thriving, reclaiming their place in a galaxy that had once sought to crush them. This victory would resonate far beyond the battlefield. It would become a symbol of hope, an embodiment of a new era. As the USS Valor stood victorious among the debris of the Kidari fleet, Corvo made a decision that would alter the course of the war. Prepare to establish contact with their command. It's time we showed them they are not alone. The command room quieted, a weighty anticipation filling the air as officers began relaying the message. Corvo's heart raced with the promise of a new alliance, a partnership that could unite two worlds against a common enemy. As the human fleet gathered its forces, ready to regroup and strategize for the battles ahead, Corvo's gaze remained fixed on the stars outside, where the remnants of the Kidari fleet drifted in silence. The universe was vast, filled with uncertainties, but, for the first time, there was a glimmer of hope shining through the darkness. The humans, emboldened by their victory, began plotting their next moves. Corvo, however, felt a growing unease settle in his gut. He couldn't shake the feeling that the Kidari would not go down without one final desperate fight. "We should capitalize on our momentum," Merrick suggested, pacing the command room. "Strike while they're vulnerable. We can end this once and for all." Corvo frowned, sensing the impatience in his comrade's tone. "We need to be cautious. The Kidari will regroup. They won't allow themselves to be cornered easily." Just as Corvo finished speaking, an alarm blared throughout the USS Valor. A red light pulsed ominously, drowning the room in its glow. The crew scrambled to their stations, confusion and dread creeping in. "What's happening?" Merrick demanded, his eyes darting to the screens. "Status report." The officer manning the sensors looked pale. "Sir, we're detecting a massive energy surge from the remnants of the Kidari fleet. They're activating their self-destruct protocols." The realization hit Corvo like a punch to the gut. "They're planning to take us with them. They're willing to die rather than be defeated." "Get us out of here!" Merrick shouted, but it was already too late. The Kidari command ship had initiated its self-destruction, a chain reaction set to obliterate anything in its vicinity. The USS Valor shook violently as the first explosion rippled through the debris field, sending shockwaves that rattled the crew. Corvo felt the ship lurch, his grip tightening on the console. "We can't outrun it!" another officer cried, panic rising in their voice. "The blast radius is too wide." "Brace for impact," Corvo ordered, his voice steady even as fear gripped his heart. He could see the devastation ahead, waves of energy radiating from the command ship as it began to break apart. "We're not going to make it," Merrick shouted, but Corvo's eyes were fixed on the screen, where the Kidari fleet was erupting in a cataclysmic blaze of destruction. "No, we can't lose everything we fought for," Corvo shouted, but deep down, he felt the weight of inevitability pressing down on him. The explosion blossomed, a blinding light engulfing the screen as the remnants of the Kidari fleet erupted into a supernova of flames. The USS Valor shuddered violently, alarms blaring as the shockwave hit, tossing crew members from their feet. "Get the shields up!" Corvo yelled, but the ship was already taking damage. They were caught in the blast, spiraling through the wreckage, debris ripping through the hull. "We're losing control," an officer cried as sparks flew from the consoles. Corvo's heart raced as he fought to regain command. He couldn't let this be the end. "Stabilize the ship. We can still—" But it was too late. Another explosion rocked the USS Valor, and Corvo felt himself being thrown against the console. Darkness enveloped him, a deafening silence replacing the chaos of the command room. The wreckage of the USS Valor drifted in the void, a haunting reminder of the cost of war. The human alliance had been forged in blood, and now it lay shattered amid the stars. As the Kidari fleet burned in the distance, Corvo's final thoughts echoed in the silence. In the quest for freedom, we paid the ultimate price. Yet, in the heart of the chaos, a single escape pod jettisoned from the wreckage, carrying the last glimmer of hope, an opportunity for survival, a chance to build anew, even from the ashes of tragedy.